Welcome to the lighted way. They didn't hand you a crown. They handed you scars. And somehow, those scars started speaking louder than any title ever could. Listen closely. The streets already know your name. Not because you shouted, not because you posed under bright lights, but because you bled and kept walking. That's the kind of truth no camera can stage. Power does not always arrive with trumpets. Sometimes it limps in, stitched together by nights that refuse to end and a conviction that simply would not die. Every neighborhood has its legends, some feared, some forgotten, and a rare few who refuse to bend when the world demands a bow. The streets are not fooled by costumes. They can smell authenticity the way rain smells like the earth. They know who is performing and who has paid the price in full. And that is why they've stamped you in silence. History repeats the same refrain. Empires fall when one voice stops apologizing. You became that voice. Not polished, not curated. You walked through storms most people could not crawl through and came out carrying a language only survivors can speak. When it would have been safer to fold, you unfolded your spine. When quiet would have kept you comfortable, you chose truth. You stood, you spoke, and you guarded what others would have sold off in pieces. That's why loyalty finds you without a marketing plan. The streets don't clap for headlines. They stand for proof. The difference is simple. Success can be manufactured. Studio lights, borrowed cars, filters on a life that doesn't exist. Survival cannot. Survival shows up in the way someone enters a room after fire, in the way their eyes don't flinch, in the way their peace is earned instead of announced. The streets memorize those details. They respect scars more than trophies, and endurance more than applause. You didn't take shortcuts. You took the long road at midnight and arrived without an entourage. That's why your name carries weight, even when no one says it out loud. You refused to fold when folding became fashionable. Seasons came where loyalty got cheap and integrity went on sale. People changed opinions the way they changed outfits. They posted one truth and lived another. But you stayed rooted. You did not bend your convictions to match the room. You did not sell your principles for rent money on a temporary moment. You chose the heavy thing, to be solid. And the streets took note, not of how loud you were, but of how steady. In a world of shapeshifters, you chose a spine. There's a reason your voice lands like thunder. You say what everyone feels and swallows. Plenty can see the truth. Few dare to speak it. Silence builds small prisons inside brave hearts, and whole blocks fill with people serving quiet sentences. You walked in with bolt cutters and named the thing nobody wanted to name. Not for attention, because freedom needs a doorway. That's why your words shake rooms. It isn't volume. It's the relief of finally hearing reality without makeup. Your presence became evidence. Before you say a word, pretenders get nervous. Hollow promises rattle. The air shifts because consistency exposes counterfeits by existing. Some people hate that about you. Your life became a mirror they can't escape. A glass that reflects convenience where there should have been conviction. They try to smear the mirror, but it keeps returning their reflection. Meanwhile, the ones starving for something real find you like water. You don't have to pitch yourself to them. The truth you protect feels like shelter in a world made of cardboard. And here's the part that makes handlers panic. You don't chase validation. You command it by not needing it. While timelines obsess over likes and borrowed relevance, your worth refuses to be auctioned. That calm pulls attention in the way gravity pulls oceans. People can't always explain it, but they feel it. Confidence that isn't rented has a hum to it, a frequency the streets recognize immediately. You aren't auditioning. You are already appointed by the life you survived. Energy like that can't be tamed. Every attempt to contain you, gossip, gatekeeping, quiet threats, only fed your momentum. Systems are designed to file people down to predictable shapes. You didn't fit their drawer. Pressure became your gym. Resistance turned into oxygen. That is why some fear you and others gather around you. The same flame that makes cowards squint warms those who are done pretending. Your energy is a currency no bank can print and no title can counterfeit. This isn't ego, it's recognition. It's the city whispering, "We see you." Not because you played their game better, but because you built your own and refused to cheat. You are not just the truth teller, you are the guardian. You don't fling facts for sport. You protect reality when it's inconvenient. You hold the line when narratives get slippery. That's rarer than fame and twice as dangerous to anyone selling illusions. So if you've wondered why eyes follow you down the block, why rooms go quiet when you step in, remember, the streets learned your language. They watched you take losses without becoming a liar. They watched you carry grace without dropping your grit. They watched you stand unshaken when collapse would have been easier. They are not clapping for performance. They are honoring proof. And now, your name moves like weather, warning and promise in the same forecast. To the ones who hustle truth, it says, keep going. To the ones who profit from fiction, it says, the lights are coming on. You don't need a crown for that kind of forecast. You need scars that learn to sing, a spine that learned to listen, and a heart that will not negotiate its oath. That's you. That's why the streets know. And that's why this story, your story, is only just beginning to speak at full volume. Keep breathing at your own pace. Keep walking at your own tempo. The ones who matter will find the rhythm and fall in step. The rest will fall away. Either way, your proof remains. There is a volume that comes from steadiness no microphone can match. Chaos tries to drown it out with rumor and spectacle, but consistency hums beneath the noise like a train you feel before you hear. You became that hum. When others shapeshifted to fit the moment, you stayed rooted in the same soil that grew you. Your truth didn't change just because the lighting did. You didn't perform values. You practiced them when nobody was filming. The streets trust that kind of rhythm because it holds when storms arrive. Even in the mess, lies tossed like confetti, alliances dissolving mid-sentence, you stayed anchored. You didn't chase rooms. Rooms adjusted around you. That reliability became a map for people lost in a maze of moving walls. In a city that sells confusion by the pound, your presence simplified things. What's real endures. What's rented returns to its owner. People didn't follow you because you were the loudest. They followed because you were still there, after the echo faded. Your life turned into a mirror, not because you wanted to expose anyone, but because authenticity is reflective by nature. It catches the light of reality and sends it back. So when you took your place, people saw themselves. Courage where they could have had more. Boundaries they should have drawn. Dreams they abandoned because fear offered a discount. Some flinched and called you arrogant. Others straightened their backs and called you home. Either way, your mirror did what mirrors do. It told the truth without permission. They tried you, of course. They always do when someone refuses the script. Betrayal came dressed as friendship. Deals arrived with fine print and invisible ink. The aim was simple: turn your heart into a cautionary tale. But harm is a poor architect. Every knife that found your back turned into scaffolding for a higher floor. You didn't waste energy on revenge. You converted it into clarity and built a staircase only you could climb. That is how power grows without shouting. Quietly, precisely, irrevocably. And here's the thing that rattles gatekeepers. You can't be bought. Not with money, not with access, not with the illusion that sitting at their table equals power. You brought your own table and the recipe for bread. Freedom like that scares people who rely on leashes. They call it difficult. They call it defiant. But the streets have another word for it: necessary. Because when one person refuses to sell their soul, it reminds everyone else that the market price was always a lie. Your authority doesn't stomp. It doesn't need sirens. It arrives like gravity, unannounced, unmistakable. Rooms don't go quiet because you demand it. They go quiet because presence is a language. Years of surviving gave your voice weight, and weight changes the weather. You don't hustle to prove you belong. Belonging is what happens to spaces when you enter them. People don't test you the way they test performers. They move with a different awareness, a private respect born from watching you stay the course. Reputation built in fire does not melt under flashbulbs. You didn't curate a life. You forged one. There are lessons etched into your silence and coordinates hidden in your scars. The streets read those maps. They know the difference between a brand and a backbone. So when someone tries to repaint your story, the color runs. Truth always bleeds through the costume. You are not unmarked by the past. You are unmistakable because of it. What does that look like in motion? It looks like choosing principle when approval is trending. It looks like pulling your energy back from rooms that only consume and never build. It looks like telling the hard thing kindly and the real thing without delay. It looks like knowing when to be thunder and when to be dawn. It looks like understanding that peace is not softness. It is strength that refuses to scream. And the streets memorize that choreography step by step. You didn't win because everything went your way. You won because nothing could take you out of the way. There were nights the city tried to swallow you whole. You answered by planting deeper. There were days your name lived in other people's mouths. You answered by making your actions undeniable. There were moments you could have become bitter and small. You chose big and better. That is why your story spreads block to block, like a rumor that turns into relief. Every attempt to box you in became a lesson in expansion. Every closed door exposed the hallway you never would have seen otherwise. You gathered wisdom the loud way, through impact, and then chose to carry it quietly. That is why people seek you when the noise peaks. You aren't addicted to the stage. You are committed to the work. You hand out permission slips nobody else can issue. The freedom to be whole in a world that rewards fragments. And in the middle of all of it, you kept protecting truth. Not the slogan version, the living kind that costs something to defend. You refused to let reality be trimmed into comfortable headlines. You let it stay full-sized, even when it pressed on every side. That protection is not glamorous. It is tedious and sacred. But that's where trust springs from. That's why the ones who know the streets look for you when rumors rise like floodwater. They've seen you stack sandbags made of facts and hold the line until the waters drop. This is the part many miss. Your restraint is also power. You don't clap back at every echo. You don't sprint after every misunderstanding. You move like someone who knows that truth has legs and endurance and an impeccable sense of direction. That patience disarms adversaries faster than anger does. So, no, you didn't arrive to be liked. You arrived to be true. And strangely, that generates the only approval that lasts. Respect seasoned with memory. The respect of neighbors who watched you rebuild without a camera. The respect of quiet fighters who recognized their own reflection when you spoke. The respect of elders who measure worth by whether survived, not hashtags collected. That kind of consensus can't be engineered. It can only be earned, and you already paid the full price. Let's talk about the edge, the place where most stories end and yours learn to begin again. You have already stood at the breaking point and refused to stay broken. That is why you don't panic when pressure knocks. You met it before, shook its hand, and kept your name. Strength is not the absence of collapse. It is the art of returning whole. You rebuilt without losing your soul. And the streets don't just notice that, they trust it. You are unfoldable because your foundation is not cosmetic. It's poured from choices repeated in small, unphotographed rooms. Tell the truth when silence is on sale. Keep your promise when excuses are trending. Carry kindness without putting your courage down. That architecture doesn't sway when storms arrive. It flexes, then tightens and holds. And while others outsource their backbone to public opinion, you outsourced nothing. You led from inside first. Your legacy is already larger than a moment. It is the way neighbors use your name when they teach their kids about standing tall. It is the way friends breathe easier because you turned on the lights in stories where darkness pretended to be permanent. It is the way enemies learned that smears can't erase a life lived plain and true. Legacy isn't something you post. It's what remains when the post disappears. And yours keeps showing up on corners, in kitchens, in quiet conversations after long days. Guarding truth has always been the assignment, not with theatrics, with discipline. You don't weaponize facts to wound. You use them to heal and to hold the line. You don't shrink reality to win arguments. You keep it full size so decisions can stand on it. That kind of guardianship is why people bring you their questions when the city goes loud. You've proven you won't bend the answer to fit an agenda. You'll sit with the hard thing until it yields the whole thing. Freedom still frames everything you do. You cannot be bought because you already paid for yourself. In patience, in sleepless nights, in refusing to trade your name for a convenience you couldn't live with. That independence is a signal. It tells the hungry that they are allowed to stop auditioning. It tells the fearful that courage is a muscle, not a miracle. It tells the powerful that control has an expiration date when people remember who they are. You are a walking reminder. There's a quiet ceremony that happens when you enter a room. Nothing loud, no confetti, just a slight rearrangement of air, a recalibration. People lift their eyes. Conversation trims down to truth. Decision-making gets cleaner. Nobody announces it, but everyone senses it. We can move right now. That's what silent authority feels like. And you carry it without decoration because what you've survived refuses to let you fake anything. What they meant for ruin, you converted into architecture. Betrayals became beams. Loss became load-bearing. Doubt became design. You are a high-rise where others predicted rubble. And from that height, you don't lord over the city. You serve it. You build shade where heat used to hurt. You build shelter where storms used to claim. You build stairs so the next person doesn't have to climb the same broken glass. All of this is bigger than reputation. It's a standard, one the streets now measure by. Not perfection, presence, not image, integrity, not hype, history. You are the living proof that resilience isn't a headline. It's a habit. Show up. Tell the truth. Protect the sacred. Repeat. The formula is not mystical. It is simply rare. And rarity looks like power when the world grows thirsty. If you ever doubt why your name travels like both a warning and a promise, remember this. You didn't just survive the chaos. You learned its language and taught it yours. You didn't just tell the truth. You made it a home people can walk into. You didn't just hold the line. You became the line. So when storms came, others knew where to stand. That's what guardians do. That's what chosen ones become when they stop asking permission to be whole. So lift your head, take your place, keep your back unbent and your heart unbitter. Speak the necessary thing even when it trembles. Honor what cannot be bought or faked, and move. The world does not need louder actors. It needs steadier witnesses. The city is listening for that hum again. The sound of someone who refuses to fold. Let it be you, again and again. If this message rings true in your chest, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who forgot their strength for a minute. Drop your story in the comments so the next fighter feels less alone. Tap subscribe if you want more of this kind of oxygen in your feed. Like the video so the algorithm remembers honesty still has an audience. We rise better together. We stand unshaken, and we keep proving day after day that the streets know the difference between performance and proof. And when temptation knocks wearing a friendly face, shortcuts, spotless narratives, opportunities that require you to misplace a piece of yourself, you will remember what bought your freedom in the first place. You will remember the night you chose the slow road because the fast one bent your spine. You will remember that being understood is nice, but being aligned is necessary. The streetlights will still be there, humming over concrete that has seen everything, and they will testify for you. This one keeps their oath. You will also remember the mirror work, how you let your own reflection correct you before you corrected anyone else, how you apologized quickly and adjusted quietly, how you kept the standard high without becoming hard. That is the secret weight behind your words. You are not lecturing, you are living. And when people feel that difference, their shoulders drop and their courage returns. You didn't give them a speech. You gave them permission. Keep going. Not louder, truer. Not faster, truer. Not safer, truer. The streets have already decided, and they are rarely wrong about the real ones. Your name is safe with them because you earned it the only way that lasts. God bless you.